I want to press pause here for just a moment and emphasize what you just said once again. And that is, it's not competitive.
Yeah.
You know, that's a sign of dysfunctional families. That's the one thing you can't find in the Holy Family, much less in the relationship between Joseph and Mary. You know, and I would say, long before St. Louis de Montfort, St. Joseph was the first one to be truly and fully and perfectly consecrated to Our Lady. But conversely, the Blessed Virgin Mary, long before your amazing book, is the first to be truly and fully and perfectly consecrated to St. Joseph.
Yep.
And it isn't like, well, Jesus gets 80% or 90% of the pie, and we give some for Joseph and some, a little more for Mary. No, it's not a zero-sum game. This is not an exchange where if you get that, I only get this.
Right.
No, it's really a rising tide that is lifting, all of the boats, but especially this marriage that is not like a marriage. It is more fully and truly a marriage, just as Mary is more of a mother than any other woman. She's not a surrogate mother. She didn't just provide her womb or her body. She gave herself body, soul to Jesus. And this is what I think we need to discover. We're rooted in a tradition of individualism, of voluntarism, of experientialism, and so it's all about me and what I experience and what I choose for myself. That never cuts it in family life.
Right.
And it never appeared in the Holy Family.
No.
And so we have got to kind of re-examine our logic or look at this and say, wait a second, it's upside down,
Right.
And the way it took me 10 years to finally say to Kimberly, you know what, I have never gone wrong trusting you. And I've never done right distrusting you, even if I could prove that you were wrong and I was right.
Yeah.
It really just made it so that we were both wrong, And so the logic of love is the only thing that makes sense out of everything that is at the heart and of the essence of the Catholic faith.
That's it. And that's the beautiful, like you said, that complementarity. I think the key is it's not competition, it's complementarity. And, every family has to have a heart. Every family has to have a head, just like the body. Okay, you can't have not just one, you need both. And it's not saying that one is greater than the other, even though we know, theologically and all of that Our Lady is greater. Yes, right? She's the Immaculate, all that, her grace, it's different. But nonetheless, it's that beautiful family unit working together for the good of what God has given them to accomplish. And look at what's been accomplished.
Right.
The salvation of the world, through their Son. I mean,
you can see little slivers of this divine love, this logic of divine love. You save the best till last. And so in creating, man is the crown of creation, but the woman is the crown jewel. And so if we bear the image and likeness of God as male and female, clearly Adam was convinced that God had saved the best till last, that the revelation of divine love and glory was embodied in her until they both fell. Conversely, you look at the end of time, and Revelation 21 and 22, as you know, shows us that the eschaton is going to be the marriage supper of the Lamb. And the apocalypse is called the apocalypse because it means the unveiling. But the bridegroom doesn't wear the veil. The bride does. So the unveiling of the divine beauty and glory and splendor that Mary already possesses in her perfection is going to be successfully downloaded, transferred to the church as bride and as mother. And so that attraction that we all feel as men towards feminine beauty that is ordered to marriage and life-giving love, children, all of that. This is bookending history in creation and the new creation. But I want to also bring up something that you and I have talked about before, and that is Joseph was a man. And not some man who was so old he just didn't have any desire left, and so that's what made it fitting. He was a young enough man to travel to Egypt, and you point out a lot of other things, including the visitation.
Yeah.
We all love that.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have just say, well, let me know when you're back.
Have fun, honey. Yeah.
Right. The fact that they're betrothed at that point as well. And so, talk about how Joseph would have felt regarding the Blessed Virgin and her own feminine beauty.
Yeah, well, that's the mystery, again, of that complementarity, because sometimes we tend to look at the Holy Family and that marriage especially as, okay, take a picture, cut, okay, we're going to skip now to the visitation. There's no filler. We don't know, it's the hidden years.
Right.
But that was a real marriage. Yes, they did not engage in, the marital act, for the sake of the mission that had been given to them. But there was affection, there was love, and there was, on some level, attraction, right? I mean, we're not dealing with robots here.
Not
okay?
concupiscence.
Correct.
But pure, which
Yes.
means stronger, not weaker.
That's
attraction.
exactly right. That's right. Yeah, it's all of us who've got it messed up, right?
Right.
Now, Joseph, granted, is not immaculate, right? But nonetheless, I mean, he's much greater than we were when it
He
comes
has a dominion over his own concupiscence that I suspect is unparalleled.
You better, yes, that's right. And actually, in the book, I have a few quotes on that, and I think we're going to dig out more as
we are
do
too.
more history. So yes, so they were, we use this terminology today, and people think, oh, that's sappy, but they were in love. Okay,
Right.
they loved each other. Now, as that played out, Joseph is going to be a protector, a provider. I mean, he's going to be one who's going to take care of her. And she, in her feminine wonder and mystery, felt safe and secure in his manhood. And that's why, God bless him, the intentions were good. Many people depicted St. Joseph as older for the sake of guarding her virginity. Right. Okay, well intended for sure, right? That's good. But is it true, right? Was he, like some ancient texts say, 90 years old when they got married? I really doubt that. I mean, the point was not to stand out. You think they wouldn't have, people would have been looking at that for sure.
He would have been a retired carpenter. He wouldn't have made it all the way to Egypt,
Right.
much less back
He would have been the father of Jesus. He would have been the grandfather, or the great-grandfather of Jesus. So was he the same age as Our Lady? Probably not, but he certainly was not 3 or 4 times her age. Well, if you look at that, as Fulton Sheen says, Venerable Fulton Sheen, he's got some zingers on this. And so does St. Jose Maria Escrivá.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, right.
The 3 rings.
Oh, yes. Good stuff.
The engagement ring, the wedding ring, and the suffering.
Love it. I preach about that all the time.
That's beautiful.
But they talk about this, it actually takes more virtue for a young man to discipline his heart and to make of himself a gift of his body like a younger St. Joseph would have. An older man, those things are going to be waning. Your interest is going to be lessened. And so Fulton Sheen has great quotes on that, how it was a greater sacrifice for St. Joseph to be young and virile and strong. And he talks about him even being athletic. And, think about it. The guy worked, he was a tecton, right?
Right.
So probably not only with wood, but stone as well.
Right. He's an engineer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're talking about a man here. And so that, I think, was a gift that God gave to Our Lady. Right. I'm going to have this man be your provider, your husband.
I think she might want to press pause and just whisper to us something like this. People always recognize that, I'm the Immaculata, and he was blessed to have me. But what people forget is that I was blessed to have him.
Right.
There is no greater human, there's no greater male in human history than the man I got to marry.
Oh, I know.
And so she saw him as a handsome man, a virtuous man, not only chaste, but affectionate, respectful.
Right.
And I've said this to you before, but whenever I began to feel comfortable with Marian art, it occurred to me pretty soon after that I was looking at the Blessed Virgin Mary and seeing her beauty, the sculptors and the artists, and yet the fact is, this is what he saw 24/7.
That's right.
He woke up to her. He would say goodnight to her, and she was even more beautiful in real life than those paintings can capture, even with, artistic geniuses. Right. And so, sure, they just, they had to clean the dishes, they had to, sweep the floors and all of that. But the source of beauty has much more to do with the virtue, which would make her the most attractive, the most beautiful woman. Yep. And if he, in fact, was graced in a fitting way so as to have dominion over his concupiscent desire, his affection, his desire for her, is not reducible just to sexual desire at all.
Correct.
No, there is a sense in which they were both mutually consecrated to the mission of raising the Son of God.
Right.
And so this is good, but this is greater. Yeah. You don't put garbage on the altar and call that a sacrifice. You might put marital sexuality that is merely natural on the altar for the supernatural mission of parenting the eternal Logos made flesh, And it isn't like repression at that point. It's the opposite.